Alrighty, so I know I didn't do a reaction to the official Avengers Endgame trailer. I already saw it, so we would react to it. But what I really wanted to do was check out, anything that we missed, timeline wise, Easter eggs, basically an analysis of the trailer. So we're gonna go ahead and check that out. This is from Screen Crush. It's the first one I saw on here. I don't think I've ever looked at their videos, but it's by Screen Crush, and it's the Avengers Endgame trailer, every Easter egg and timeline. So let's go ahead and just check this out.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to Screen Crush. I'm Ryan Airy. The new trailer for Avengers Endgame just dropped, and there are a few, not a lot, but a few hints about the movie's story. There's also several homages and Easter eggs to past Marvel films. But before we go on, big spoiler warning for Avengers Endgame and all other movies ever made are ahead. There's a lot of nostalgic references in this trailer, beginning with the opening shot of Tony lying in the desert sand, shortly after escaping the Ten Rings cave in Iron Man. We hear a bit more of his message to Pepper from the first trailer. Tony's reflecting on his time as Iron Man.
Seems like 1,000 years ago. I fought my way out of that cave.
Which causes us, the audience, to reflect on our time since we first saw the movie. 2008 does seem like 1,000 years ago, doesn't it? It's also interesting that Tony equates becoming with Iron Man with falling in love with Pepper. He may have become Iron Man to stop his weapons from falling into evil hands, but he continues being Iron Man to protect her. This dovetails with something that he said in Infinity War.
I know I had the surgery.
I was gonna say that.
A few trusses, and that's it, just in case there's a monster in the closet.
And this line...
I know I said no more surprises, but I was really hoping to pull off one last one.
References that same conversation.
And we should have no more surprises, ever. I should promise you.
This shot, by the way, is from Iron Man 3. It's not new footage from Endgame. And it wouldn't surprise me if Pepper didn't survive the snap, because that would really raise the stakes for Tony even higher. Then we cut to another nostalgic origin story, this time of Proto Steve at the recruitment center in 1942. This time it's Peggy Carter narrating from her sickbed in Winter Soldier.
The world has changed. None of us can go back. All we can do is our best. And sometimes the best that we can do is to start over.
Notice how everything in these flashbacks is desaturated except for red, because red is the color of blood and war and death. There's also a neat symmetry with the opening flashes of the previous trailer, which desaturated all the heroes except for the reds of their costumes. Next, we get a scene that I think will come pretty early in Endgame. Hawkeye living a perfect life on his farm. He's teaching his oldest daughter, Lila, how to shoot a bow and arrow. This is something of a cool nod to the comics, because at one point there was a woman Hawkeye named Kate Bishop. Notice his family preparing a picnic in the background, and little Nathaniel Pietro sure has grown, right?
I noticed that too. I know a lot of people were saying that this is
about 1 second after
just him and his daughter that survived, but the family's in the back.
Shot from an earlier trailer of Hawkeye now wearing his Ronin suit. Ronin was an alternate identity he assumed in the comics when he was a fugitive after.
See, this I'm excited for, because I don't know much about Ronin.
Later, but I'll get to that in a minute. Black Widow is there with hair.
This fresh take on Hawkeye will be pretty cool to see.
She takes Clint's hand as if she's rescuing him, bringing him back from the edge. Remember, she explained in the Avengers that she owes Clint a debt.
Agent Barton was sent to kill me. He made a different call.
You can see her repaying the favor, helping him recover from his grief. Now this line...
And sometimes the best that we can do is to start over.
...could be a major hint to the plot. For about a year, there have been rumors that Endgame would feature a time travel story. There have been leaked set photos showing cast members in Avengers-era costumes. So this line could imply that the Avengers will try to reverse the snap.
That would be very cool. Interesting for sure.
Then, in our final bit of nostalgia clips, we see the first shot of Asgard from Thor and a snippet from the Thunder God's final scene with Odin.
I have much to learn. Someday, perhaps, I shall make you proud.
You've already made me proud.
In Endgame, he's probably reflecting on this conversation. I mean, at this point, he's lost literally everyone in his life, except for the Avengers. All through the movie, he'll be rethinking these last few seconds over and over again, like he missed the final shot in the big championship game.
You should have gone for the head.
He really did. He really did.
We hear a little bit of that in this snippet of new dialogue where Thor reflects on the death toll.
I saw all these people die.
Then we get this shot, which seems like it's just Banner, but look in the background. This looks like it could be the weapon that Corvus Glaive used to stab the Vision, or, more likely, this is Loki's scepter. Going along with the time travel theories, If the Avengers are trying to collect or harness the Infinity Stones, then it would make sense that they would study the scepter because it contained the Mind Stone and harnessed its power. Although I don't know why it would be casually leaning against the wall like a mop. What is this object? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Next, we see Scott Lang in what appears to be a long time after the snap. There's garbage that hasn't been collected, the houses are overgrown, and he's staring at some missing persons flyers. Most importantly, he looks surprised. So here's what I think we're seeing. Scott is trapped in the quantum realm at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Janet Pym made
Yeah,
a
this is probably the
specific
beginning
point
of the movie,
saying,
to be honest.
Sucked into a time vortex. We won't be able to save you.
so it's reasonable to think that Scott time jumped into the future and maybe also the past. The security footage at the end of the first trailer implied that Scott arrived at the Avengers HQ in the year 1983. So I think that, like Billy Pilgrim, he has become unstuck in time. The Avengers, specifically Tony Stark, will help stabilize him in the here and now. Later in the video, I'll break down what I think is the actual timeline of events. Notice how now all the lights are on in the city, whereas in the Super Bowl trailer, it showed everything being off and desolate. So this would be after a time jump when humanity's had time to get the power grid back up and start up support groups. It appears that Natasha and Hawkeye are on board the same Quinjet, probably shortly after she brought him back from the Far East. Next, we see a cryptic series of action shots that don't reveal much. These shots of Hawkeye outrunning an explosion in a tunnel appear to take place just before the shot from the Super Bowl ad and after this shot from later in the trailer. Here's Rocket teaming up with War Machine, and this doesn't reveal much except that he stays with the team. At one point, I thought maybe he would go back into space for a while and revert to his old thieving ways. But it looks like he does want to stay with the Avengers because they're the best hope to undo the snap. These shots of Steve and Clint appear to take place at or around the Avengers HQ. This looks to me like Clint has just rejoined the team, and he's not quite all there, like he feels like he doesn't belong. Another shot of Scott in Avengers HQ, which matches up well with this shot in the previous trailer of him suiting up with War Machine. I love this shot of Thor because it shows him using Stormbreaker to harness his lightning powers. This could take place really soon after the snap because this is the same armor he wore at the Battle of Wakanda. Then we have Nebula pissed off and fighting among some wreckage. I think this is a new setting, not Titan, and there's only one person who can make her this angry, and that's Thanos. A little bit of Endgame footage was recently screened for some Disney executives. One of them claimed that Nebula says she knows where Thanos would have retired to because he talked about it all the time. These later shots of Steve in battle strapping on the shield appear to be in the same location, also where we saw Rocket and War Machine earlier. Judging by these familiar high cliffs in the background, I think the Avengers have taken the fight directly to Thanos' retirement planet. I like how they're still hinting at big reveals. Like we still haven't seen a full shot of Steve holding his shield since he surrendered it to Tony Stark at the end of Civil War. Then there's this shot of Ant-Man doing a diving flip off a pencil past a 1/4-inch sound cable. It reminds me a lot of this move Captain America
That's what that
made in
is,
the
a pencil.
Avengers. In the leaked set photos, Ant-Man was with Avengers-era Captain America at the Battle of New York. I'm wondering if this scene takes place in the rubble of the first Avengers film, and that's why there's so many common objects you'd find in an office. The Avengers keep repeating this mantra of whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
We all know the contracts for these actors are going to expire, and they all want to go out on an emotional high note. So the implication here is that one or more of them are going to die. But the way they keep reminding us of Peggy Carter makes me think that Steve might get a happy ending where he and Peggy get to have their dance.
We can go home. Imagine it.
Then we get these shots of almost the entire
If
Avengers
that
team
happens,
wearing new
yo,
matching armor. These are probably
it'd be
suits
such
that
a
allow them
bittersweet.
to
I'm getting
travel into
goosebumps
the
just
quantum
thinking about
realm
it
as
now.
revealed in
It's
this
like
leaked concept art. But you'll notice in
he
the concept art,
really
it's so Hulk,
really loved
it's
her,
not shown
and
here.
he
And there's
missed
a good
that
reason
dance.
for that. We'll probably get to see Smart Hulk in this movie, where he's a fusion of Banner's mind and the Hulk's strength. But they wouldn't want to give that away in the trailer. But the biggest reveal from this shot is Tony reunited with the team. We all knew the Avengers would assemble again, but this really helps us figure out the film's timeline. They also edited this together out of order. Nebula seems to jump around from behind Steve to behind Tony. That's because this figure is actually Tony, but they don't want to reveal he and Steve standing beside each other before the film. The final tag is Thor trying to intimidate Captain Marvel in the Avengers HQ, and she's totally unfazed. We know from the Captain Marvel end credits scene that she joins the team early, soon after the snap. So let's talk about the timeline of this movie and Black Widow's ever-changing hair. We see her with 3 hairdos that confirm 3 different time periods. There's the short blonde hair that matches Infinity War, much longer blonde hair, and finally long red hair. In this shot, she's even kind of letting her natural color come through. Here's what this means for the film's timeline. I think we start off watching Hawkeye's family die. That's your cold open. and it puts his struggle at the heart of the film, similar to Thor in Infinity War. The Russos also did this with Howard and Maria Stark's
smart.
murder in Civil War. They love to kick off with deaths in the family. Next, we see the Avengers post-snap. Thor looking around Wakanda, Rocket looking at Bucky's old hut, and the Avengers studying the death toll. Next, Captain Marvel shows up. This we've already seen. Then cut to Tony and Nebula stranded in space. They work out how to get home, and when they show up, enough time has passed for Steve to shave his beard, but not enough for Natasha to grow her hair. This shot is more than likely the Avengers watching the Benatar land. Then the Avengers see the archive footage of Scott from 1983. Cut to Scott in the quantum realm. He escapes through a time vortex, but is blinking in and out of time. He ends up returning a few years after the snap. Actress Emma Fuhrman claims she was playing an older version of his daughter Cassie in this movie, so we could be looking at a 5-year time jump. So Scott escapes the quantum realm and Tony helps stabilize him in time. Then the Avengers work up their plan, which somehow involves the quantum realm and time travel to prevent or undo Thanos' snap. Whatever their plan is, we know that Tony is going to be vital to it, because according to Doctor Strange, Tony had to survive for the team to succeed.
There was no other way.
Anyways, then Natasha finds Clint and the team goes to work. My guess is all of this happens in the first 45 minutes or first hour of the movie. Personally, I'm really glad they're not revealing much in these trailers. It makes my job harder, but it makes watching the movie a lot more fun. What are your Avengers Endgame theories? Let me know in the comments.
And it's coming
below.
up.
And if you're finding this for the first time, give us a shot. Why not subscribe? For Screen Crush, I'm Ryan Airy.
Screen Crush. Great video by Screen Crush. Definitely most of it was what I was thinking, and he brought up some other points. But man, this movie I cannot wait for. Over 10 years of investing into this long story arc of Thanos. It's gonna be very, very sad. Very, very sad to see some of these guys go, and if it's who I think it is, which I think it'd be Captain America, it's gonna be sad, especially because he started off as people were like, oh, Cap, it's a weaker one, but he came to his own, of course, due to the storylines and directors that kind of helped with that. Him and Iron Man are the two pillars of the team, and I don't think Tony is gonna go. I think Tony will survive and then retire. As far as as everyday Iron Man would probably come in as emergencies, but I think Cap is gonna be the one to not survive this time around, especially because he brought up Peg. It's Peg, right? It's his girl, yeah. And how she passed away, and he really didn't get to grow old with her. And if they're doing the whole time jump thing, I can see maybe that's be his ending, whether it be literal or as in as a way to kind of he's passed and he's buried with her. I think that'd be a very sad ending, obviously. But hey, it's within a month and a half, man. But not even a month and a half, it's a little over a month and a week. But hey, it's gonna be make for a good movie, and I heard it's gonna be real long, like 3 hours. I think I remember reading somewhere about 3 hours long for this movie. But I'm there. I'm for sure there. Just like this and Toy Story, I'm gonna be there for this one. And even if it's 3 hours long, 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, I'm gonna be there and glued to my edge of my seat. So yeah, guys, if you guys enjoyed this and then enjoyed this video. I'm sorry I didn't get to react to the actual trailer. Like I said, just things have come up and I couldn't really react to anything the past few days. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this reaction to this Easter egg timeline explain video. And if you guys enjoyed it, go ahead and hit thumbs up, like, all that good stuff. And go ahead, comment down below what I should be reacting to next. And I'll see you guys on the next video.